Hello and welcome to ELA Explained. In this video, we'll continue our exploration of archetypes. To review, archetypes are recurring symbols, themes, settings, and character types that appear across cultures and time periods. They reflect universal patterns of human experience. In this video, we will focus on character archetypes, specifically one enduring and fascinating type, the trickster. The defining features of the trickster are intelligence over power. A trickster lacks conventional authority. He wins through wit, language, psychological insight, or improvisation. If a character can simply command obedience, they are not a trickster. Deception with purpose. A trickster deceives instrumentally. He manipulates situations to achieve specific goals, not merely for entertainment or mischief. Cheating that exposes the system. Tricksters do not simply break rules, they reveal them. Their actions expose hypocrisy, rigidity, or the hidden logic of social systems. Moral ambiguity. Tricksters are neither villains nor moral paragons. They are often selfish, yet occasionally ethical. They force readers to question whether it is the character's behavior that is wrong, or the system itself. Liminal social position. Tricksters live between categories: high and low, child and adult, insider and outsider, human and divine. This position allows them to break rules without being crushed by them. Narrative influence. A true trickster reshapes the direction of the plot, often influencing outcomes far beyond their apparent power. If removing the character doesn't change the story much, they are not a trickster. To analyze the trickster archetype, we will examine 3 examples from different historical periods, cultures, and genres. Odysseus from the Odyssey, Tristan from The Dog in the Manger by Lope de Vega, and Tom Sawyer from The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. We will see how each demonstrates the defining qualities we have just outlined. Our first example is Odysseus, who embodies many of the classical traits associated with the trickster. We will focus on the episode in which he and his men are trapped in a cave by the Cyclops Polyphemus, who begins devouring them. Unable to overpower the giant physically, Odysseus devises a plan. He gives the Cyclops strong wine, tells him that his name is Nobody, and once the Cyclops falls asleep, Odysseus blinds him. When the other Cyclopes ask who has harmed him, he replies, "Nobody," and they leave. Odysseus and his men then escape by clinging to the undersides of sheep. Let us now examine how the 6 trickster qualities appear in this episode. Odysseus is not the strongest Greek. That distinction belongs to figures like Achilles. What distinguishes Odysseus is his cunning intelligence. In this episode, intelligence defeats brute force. Language becomes a weapon, and patience becomes strategy. Odysseus survives not by competing in strength, but by redefining the terms of the conflict. Deception with purpose. The name Nobody is not a random joke. It is deliberate, strategic, and linguistically precise. When the Cyclops cries out, "Nobody is hurting me," language itself becomes a shield. This is deception aimed at a clear objective: survival. Cheating that exposes the system. This scene is culturally significant. Greek society valued xenia, sacred hospitality toward strangers. Polyphemus violates this code by mocking Zeus and consuming his guests. Odysseus responds not with moral outrage, but with cunning. The episode reveals that social systems function only when participants respect them. Outside civilization, when brute force replaces law, intelligence becomes the only defense. Odysseus cheats, but in doing so, he exposes the fragility of civilized order. Moral ambiguity. After escaping safely, Odysseus cannot resist revealing his true name. From his ship, he taunts Polyphemus and declares himself responsible. This action serves no strategic purpose. It satisfies his pride. In response, Polyphemus calls upon his father, Poseidon, to punish Odysseus. This prayer ensures that his journey home will be prolonged and filled with suffering. Odysseus is brilliant and courageous, but also arrogant. His intelligence saves him, yet his pride extends his suffering. The trickster's flaw is ego. Liminal social position. Inside the cave, Odysseus is no longer king, hero, or commander. He is vulnerable and dependent on his wit. He occupies a liminal space, outside civilization, outside law, and seemingly outside divine protection. He survives because he adapts. Narrative influence. Importantly, this episode is narrated by Odysseus himself later in the poem. He controls how the story is framed. He shapes his own legend. One of the earliest tricksters in Western literature is also one of the first self-conscious storytellers. He manipulates not only events, but memory. Our second example comes from The Dog in the Manger by Lope de Vega. The play centers on Countess Diana, who falls in love with her secretary, Teodoro. However, strict class hierarchy prevents her from marrying beneath her rank. She cannot openly claim him, yet she refuses to release him. When Teodoro considers marrying someone of his own class, Diana's jealousy intensifies the conflict. At this point, Teodoro's servant Tristan intervenes. He fabricates a story that Teodora may actually be of noble birth by staging a recognition scene in which Teodoro is discovered to be of aristocratic birth. With his status restored, at least officially, the class barrier disappears, and Diana can now marry him without dishonor. Now, let us analyze Tristan's role. Intelligence over power. Tristan has no title, no money, no authority, yet he outmaneuvers aristocrats using improvisation, social awareness, and rhetorical skill. Like Odysseus, he doesn't challenge the system head-on, he works around it. Deception with purpose. Tristan's plan is not idle comedy. His goal is clear: elevate Teodoro's status, make his marriage possible, and solve the central conflict of the play. The deception is strategic, not playful. Cheating that exposes the system. The nobility in the play insists on bloodline, honor, and inherited status. Tristan proves how fragile that system is. If nobility can be manufactured through performance and recognition, then what is it really? His trick reveals that class hierarchy depends on social agreement rather than divine truth. Moral ambiguity. Is Tristan justified? He lies, he manipulates others, he engineers social fraud. But the system itself is rigid and unfair. Diana loves Teodoro, but hides behind class rules. Tristan's deception exposes hypocrisy, but he still deceives. That tension keeps him from being purely heroic. Liminal social position. He is a servant, socially inferior, outside aristocratic power. Yet he moves between noble and servant spaces, public and private spheres. That liminality gives him freedom to manipulate. He is close enough to power to understand it, yet too far from it to bend it. Narrative influence. Without Tristan, the lovers would remain divided, and the social conflict would remain unresolved. He is not just comic relief. He engineers the resolution and influences the outcome of the play. Our final example is going to be from The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain, specifically the whitewashing scene. First, a quick summary of the episode. Tom is punished by Aunt Polly and forced to whitewash a long fence on a Saturday. Instead of complaining, he pretends the task is a rare privilege, acting absorbed and selective. When other boys show interest in the activity, he refuses to let them try, which gradually convinces them it's a highly desirable activity. Tom ends up sitting back while other boys do the work. He even gets paid in small treasures for the opportunity to whitewash the fence. He transforms punishment into profit. Now, let us analyze Tom's behavior. Intelligence over power. Tom has no authority, no physical advantage, no way to refuse the punishment. He doesn't resist the system directly. Instead, he reframes perception. He wins through social awareness, performance, and psychological insight. Like Odysseus, he changes the terms of the situation. Deception with purpose. This is not random mischief. Tom's goal is clear: avoid labor, preserve status, turn punishment into advantage. The deception is strategic and carefully paced. He doesn't immediately offer the brush, he withholds access, and that restraint makes the trick work. Cheating that exposes the system. Tom's plan exposes that desire increases when access is restricted. Social value is constructed, not inherent. Work becomes desirable if framed as exclusive. He reveals how status operates in childhood society. The fence doesn't change, perception does, and that changes everything. Moral ambiguity. Is Tom admirable? He manipulates friends, he lies, he profits from deception, but he doesn't harm anyone. The boys participate willingly. The system is rigid and arbitrary. He exists in the classic trickster grey zone, self-serving but not destructive. Liminal social position. Tom is a child under adult control, yet he is socially powerful among peers. He lives between obedience and rebellion, punishment and prestige. That liminal space gives him room to manipulate. Like Tristan and Odysseus, he operates from below. Narrative influence. Without this episode, Tom would remain merely mischievous. The scene reveals his ability to reshape reality through persuasion and supports Twain's larger critique of social conditioning. People often mistake imposed labor for privilege when it is properly framed. Tom does not simply trick others, he reveals how society constructs value. When we compare these three characters, we see that despite their vastly different settings, they follow the same archetypal pattern. Each encounters a challenge that cannot be overcome directly. Instead of relying on force or authority, they turn to deception and achieve their goals through unconventional and sometimes morally questionable means. Each clearly demonstrates the defining qualities of the trickster archetype. Across epic poetry, early modern drama, and the 19th century novel, the trickster persists, adapting to new systems, but always revealing how those systems work. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.